will lead us into the invocation. If you'd like to join us, please stand at this time. It will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Precious Heavenly Father, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Creator of the universe, we have come together this evening to conduct the affairs of this city. But also, Lord, we honor the veterans of our armed forces, not because we glorify war, but because we recognize that it is the sacrifice made by the countless men and women of this nation, the sacrifice for this concept that we call freedom. We pray that you will bless our veterans and their families for their unselfish service, for the hardships they faced, for the sacrifices they made, for their love of freedom and our nation. As we gather tonight, Lord, we not only recognize our veterans and their sacrifices, but we acknowledge that it's because of them and their sacrifices that we can gather here tonight openly, freely, to conduct the affairs of this great city, gathering without fear of retribution from any government or any man. Lord, we ask of you that this body of men and women who you have set in authority over this community, that they would be endued with godly wisdom and knowledge as they attend to the business that will be brought before them this evening, and that they too will be blessed for the love of freedom, love of family, and love of this community. Lord, we also ask that everything that is said and everything that is done here tonight will bring praise and honor and glory unto you, for that is what we truly desire. And we pray these things in the name of thy precious holy Son, Jesus. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor, and thank you for mentioning the veterans, because it's important that we acknowledge that. I would like to call to order the meeting of Monday, November the 11th, and ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Councilmember Archibald?
Here.
Councilmember Ashford?
Present.
Councilmember Beeden? Here. Councilmember Harris?
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Here.
Councilmember Warden?
Here.
Mayor Rep?
Here. You have the minutes from the regular meeting of October the 28th. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So move.
Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Is there any additions, deletions? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes will stand as submitted. We'll move on to presentations, and we have one tonight.
City Manager James Freed will give a presentation on a downtown dumpster pilot program.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Just one second, my presentation.
Morning.
There we go.
It's evening.
Good evening.
It's evening.
Sorry. I've been working so hard today, I haven't looked out the window. Tonight, I'm here to talk about dumpsters. So it's a glorious topic we'll talk about today. Tonight, I want to present to you a new pilot program for a dumpster share program that we are proposing for downtown. So we have a good problem to have. Our downtown is growing at a very rapid rate. In fact, we're top 10 in the country for businesses per capita for small to mid-sized communities. Lots of new shops and restaurants, and everybody has more trash because people are producing trash. Many of them need to have their dumpsters emptied 2 to 3 times a week. And also we have dumpsters that take up parking spots, and they're really not attractive. Meaning in the Majestic lot, one of our most congested lots, there's actually a dumpster taking up a parking spot and a half that could be used for vehicles. So you get these all over town, in downtown. And our concern is not the existing dumpsters. Our concern, this one's in a parking spot right downtown in the Majestic lot. Our concern is, with all these new restaurants opening, my phone is ringing off the hook with new business owners saying, hey, I need a dumpster, where can I set it? And if they don't have dumpsters, they utilize our curbside trash pickup, which I think we can find a more attractive solution than this on trash pickup days. And so the issue becomes is we don't want to have a proliferation of new dumpsters. So my goal here is not to eliminate dumpsters that are already there, that people like their program and they like their dumpster, they can use it. The issue is, what do you do about the new businesses who need dumpsters? So the idea is simple. We will develop a pilot program to share a dumpster. We'll share dumpsters, we'll dump them more frequently to accommodate more capacity. So either dump daily or 2 times or 3 times a week based on the need of the lot and the amount of people who buy is up in them. We'll free up a much needed parking spot in Majestic by not having 2 dumpsters there, but instead we'll just keep 1. We should be able to reduce some unsightly dumpsters, because if this program's done properly, like it's done in other communities, for instance, downtown Sturgis, Michigan, we've essentially hijacked their program, to be honest. We're copying the Sturgis program. They were actually to see the reduction in some dumpsters because business owners thought it was more cost-effective to partner with their neighbors than everyone having their own dumpsters just to partner. A simple addition to their utility bills, so I can simply go on for those who sign an agreement to join the dumpster share program. On the bottom of their water bill for their business will be an additional line that says dumpster share program, and there'll be 3-tiered amount. There'll be a commercial amount, so a commercial office building, a commercial loft amount. Then there'll be a commercial food and beverage rate. So if you're a restaurant or a bar that's producing much higher volume trash than a typical office would or a typical residential facility would use. And then there'll be a residential rate, so if you're just, I have a guy who lives in an apartment or a loft and I just want to throw a bag in once or twice a week, we'll have a residential rate as well. Important part, this is a volunteer-based opt-in. If you like your dumpster, you can keep your dumpsters. But if you'd like to partner and share the dumpster program, then we'll allow you to come in. Now, this is why I say pilot program. This seems like a good idea. It seems like it'll work, but until you actually roll it out and do it, hiccups come up along the way. For instance, we don't know if we want to dump the thing 2 days a week, 3 days a week, or every day. And we really don't know until we see who signs up, how often the frequency, and then, if it's a weekend, they get heavier use because it's a restaurant than a normal day. So all these kind of things we're going to have to figure out. And so before we roll this out to the entire downtown, we're going to do 2 strategic lots, our most congested lots. One, the Majestic lot. We're going to put a shared dumpster right here on the corner where there's currently a private dumpster, which will be moved out of a city parking spot, and it'll go right there into the corner. And that should be able to service all of these businesses for those who want to participate. We currently have a restaurant over here that actually uses a laundry, laundry basket, like you can see at a hospital or a hotel, and they shuttle their trash to a dumpster all the way over here already. So they are doing it about 400 feet now, so it doesn't seem that unreasonable. So we'll start in the Majestic, and then we're going to deploy one in the corner of the Quay lot here as well. This has actually been requested by Wings Etc., who owns Wings Etc. in Sturgis, who actually brought the idea to us. So Gene Harrison kind of threw this idea to us about 1.5 years ago and said, would you guys take a look at it? And it seemed like a pretty good idea. So Wings Etc., the Harrison family, is a big driver of getting this idea out there. We currently have dumpsters all along Michigan here for various businesses. I think if this program is deployed right, a lot of those businesses may consolidate. So we're going to do 2 parking lots this year, two dumpsters and 2 different parking lots. We're going to roll out the agreements with a 3-tiered price plan, and that price plan will be dependent on our quotes we're getting. We're getting multiple quotes from multiple dumpster companies right now. We're trying to find the cheapest option, and we're going to be very disloyal. If someone comes out with the cheapest offer in the future, we'll go with them. So we want to keep this cost competitive and cost-worthy program. So that's the gist of the dumpster program. We'll have the agreements. So a couple things. One, volunteer-based. If you like your dumpster, you can keep your dumpster. For now. And, but I don't intend that changing. Secondly, it'll be volunteer-based it'll be 3-tiered based on what kind of business you have, and the rates will be dependent on the actual cost of what it costs us to do this. This will be fiduciated and run out of our trash fund. So it won't be out of the DDA, it won't be out of the general fund, it'll be out of the designated trash fund where the revenue will go in and the expenses will come out. We're not trying to make money, it's going to break even. They're going to be locked. So for each person who opts in, you get a key. Your business gets a key to unlock it. So they will be locked, and they will do a key program. So when you sign your agreement, you get the key. If you don't pay your bill, you have to give back your key. That's how other communities do it, and it works out pretty well. There will be rules on what you can put in the dumpster. You cannot put your nuclear used spent rods in the dumpster. You cannot put your motor oil in the dumpster. It's going to have some rules on what can be put into the dumpster, and our agreement will state that you will agree to those rules, and our legal counsel is drafting those agreements and rules now. So I hope to have sent out the final 4 corners of the agreement by the end of the week to you, and to the DDA, and to the businesses. And again, pilot program. It doesn't cost us anything to drop the dumpsters. It doesn't cost anything to take them away. If this goes well, which I'm hopeful when we get through the hiccups and figure out how this works, I'd like this to see us build, the DDA invest in some really nice enclosures to make them look nice. Right now, every dumpster is just kind of scattered around. It would be nice if we built a really nice enclosure for these dumpsters in the future, but I want to make sure the program works before we take on that kind of capital expenditure. So that's the Dump to Share program. It's not that innovative. It's more of common sense, but hopefully we can solve a real issue going forward. This is becoming an issue with a common sense solution. So that's it. Any questions?
Yes, go ahead, Councilmember.
Yeah, what's your timeline on your pilot program?
Well, the dumpster should be out there in the next 2 to 3 days, and I'll have the agreements drafted with the rules by the end of the week, and businesses should be able to start opting in either later this week or early next week. And I think it'll be a slow trickle of people who first sign up. People are going to look at it, evaluate what they're currently doing, and see if this is better for them.
So the duration of the pilot is from tomorrow till,
I would say probably summer. We'll have a good grasp on if it's working by summer.
and so what's your bottom line objectives? What are you trying to make it look good? Is this cosmetic, or is it just,
Both.
you say common sense? you
Both.
want
Right
the
now, we have
people-
businesses that are hoarding trash for the weekdays. So if there's no place to put a dumpster, they have to keep that trash indoors. We have a lot of restaurants who literally have a trash room that's filled with trash. I think that over the long term, if everyone keeps doing that, we're going to have another issue to deal with some rodents. So I'd like to get the trash out of the buildings, get them to the dump. I also don't want to see a proliferation. So as downtown grows and booms, where's the trash going to go? And if we don't provide a solution, they'll provide a solution on their own, and that's going to be the proliferation of dumpsters everywhere. And I don't think we want to see that. So I want to give it our best shot at giving them an alternative to everyone getting their own dumpster before we have that issue.
Okay, that's wise. Thank you.
Right now, the owner of the person, the owner or the tenant pays for their own dumpster, is that correct?
Depends. So most businesses downtown just utilize our pickup, curbside pickup, and that's becoming the issue. They want to have a dumpster, but it either costs too much or they don't have a place to put it.
Right.
Mostly because they don't have a place to put it. They're behind city parking lots. We can't take up city parking spots with dumpsters, so they're utilizing our curb pickup. By giving them a dumpster that's going to be dumped at a much more frequent rate, they'll be able to get that trash out of their building. I had one business owner who said, I have 2 rooms that I like to be able to use for storage and for my business, but they're filled with trash by the end of the week. So that's what will help with that.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
James, is your long-term goal, if this is successful, to eliminate the curbside pickup downtown?
I haven't thought that far ahead. Because I think the curbside pickup works for some people. And so if it's not broke, don't fix it type thing. But I think if some of the biggest users that are most obscenely eyesores, if we can get those people to use the dumpsters, and I think most of those folks don't want to have that issue, so if they're provided a cost-effective solution, they'll take it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mayor Up,
Yes, Councilmember
the
Ward.
one in Majestic Lot, the one that's there now that you showed a picture of,
Mhm.
it's taking up a parking spot, how is that, it's gonna be in the same spot, but how is that dumpster currently before this pilot project? Just certain?
Well, that's the issue. I spoke with the owner of that dumpster who's currently leasing it, who owns a building, and I advised him that we can't have a city parking spot be used for a private dumpster, because it sets a dangerous precedent. Because what the issue is, I have every other business owner right now saying, if they can put a dumpster in a city parking spot, why can't I? And I don't have a good answer for that. And so that's the one area in the city, that one dumpster is really the issue we're going to have to address. But I've already met with the owners and the family to discuss this, and they know this is coming.
Okay, so it was, been there for a while, it's one business, probably allows a couple other
I believe
people to
two.
use it?
Yep.
So you're gonna put this in the same spot?
Correct.
And then allow anybody that wanna try this pilot program to, throughout the week or days, just to run it out there if they need to?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
It's not glamorous, but it's the nuts and bolts of good government.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
We'll move on now to public comment. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council either on an item on the agenda or anything under our jurisdiction, please come forward to the podium, give us your name and address, and you have 4 minutes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Alex Crittenden, 3914 Oak Hill Circle, Port Huron. The mayor rep, council members, to begin with, my apologies to you and members of the council. You've been involved in something that's been going on from the very beginning, and it has to do with the construction of a playscape area, which is south of Dove Road, west of 24th Street, north of Cleveland Street on the city's south side. My apologies, because for some time now I've made every attempt to step back, be seen and not heard. So consequently, I was not involved in the takeoff, but I'm here for the landing. Staying in the background, I've shared the excitement with the placement of a water pad area for the children on the city's south side right off Cleveland Street. Recently, while driving along 24th Street, I noticed the construction of a gazebo located approximately 117 paces from the south wall of the Industrial Park Party Store. The water pad, approximately 50 paces or so south of the gazebo. The enclosed fenced area surrounding the gazebo is approximately 25 paces to curbside 24th Street. Plans are now being made to construct a gas station in the area south of the existing building at 24th and Dove. Admittedly so, I'm not a contractor. I know very little about blueprints. However, although a new gas station in the area may be good for business, I share concerns of many residents who are troubled by the thought of placing a gas station already approved, already planned, troubled at the thought of using the existing space and placing a play area for children in such close proximity. I would hope that other options be explored that will lend to a safer environment for the children. Don't invest funds for the sake of spending the funds. My final comment, I'd rather walk than drive a car that's unsafe. The children are better off not having a play area if the play area is potentially unsafe. Council members, I encourage you to please do what's best for the children, explore additional options. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is John Epley. I live at 3120 East Woodland Drive in Port Huron, Michigan. So, I came to address the council once before in support of the Port Huron Skate Park project, and quite honestly, before that speech, I was quite nervous, not at the speech part, but at, quite frankly, the reaction that we might get. It's an amazing project as far as no money's going to be coming out of the city's pocket and things like that, but just the fact that there might be some stigma attached to the fact that we want a new skate park. It was a little bit scary, and so after we did that the first time, we had an overwhelmingly great response, and as we've worked at the city, worked with different businesses and worked with different people, I've come to realize that there really is an amazing amount of overwhelming support for this project. There's a lot of people that want to see us succeed. And if you would have told me when we started this project that we would have been able to raise as much money as we have, I would have been confident and said, heck yeah, we can. But in the back of my mind, I don't think I really would have thought that we could get this far. And honestly, I am very, very happy with where we are, but I want to push us over the top because we have about 2 more months left to raise money. From humble beginnings come great ends. We started with just one bucket with some change in there, and that's still where we're at. We've made some cool fundraiser stickers to support the event. And if I may, I'd like to give some out for you guys to have up there. Sure. But I also wanted to bring some more, a couple guys from the community as well, so they can give their side of the story and see how they felt the project has developed as well. So I'm going to bring this up to Ken.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jacob Hager. I live at 4560 Griswold Road, and that's in Kimball Township. I just wanted to kind of go over the importance of a skate park in a community, in any community, and like a decent skate park. I've been involved with the action sports community my whole entire life, and despite what people see on TV or in videos, the skate park community is actually full of nice, positive people that are all trying to progress in the sport and progress in their lives in general. And a skate park like that would bring more people into our area, which would bring more business to, downtown, just business in general. And I think it also gives kids that don't have stuff to do or might not be interested in like playing on a playground, or even older kids such as myself, a place to go and hang out and have fun. And I think there's only positive things that come from having a skate park. It just gives people something to do and helps grow downtown. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Adam Keller. I live at 1319 Griswold. And since I've been a part of the project with these gentlemen, I've seen nothing but growth and support from the community, neighbors, and et cetera. I found out about this project, and it was probably a godsend for me to come join these gentlemen. It's shown me how much the community really cares about its neighbors and everything. Every event, there has been countless numbers of people from 5, 6 years old to older, 40, 50, 60, just coming out and enjoying the event. I as well have been a part of the action sports community for most of my life, and I know that the action sports community comes with a stigma that we're troublemakers, we're deviants, and I would like to say that for the most part, that is not true. Every group has its own set of troublemakers. And when it comes to stigma, I myself know about stigma because I myself am a recovering addict. I'm coming up on 2 years, clean time, and I am one of the ones that can also show you that not everyone is the same. I have been accepted to U of M Flint. Starting next fall, I have held a full-time job helping these gentlemen. I have gone above and beyond of even what myself I thought I was capable of, because people gave me the chance. They did not judge my past, and they let me move on forward in my life. So find it deep in your hearts. Anyone that you can ask or push to help raise these funds, the higher the funds we can get for the skate park, the safer and the better it can be. Because I know one part of our goal is to have a camera system that has a live feed, and this would be constant contact of the skate park, constant view. So if something does happen, we know who did it, when, and where. We can nip it in the bud before it gets any worse. So I thank you, council. You have a good evening.
Could I ask you, what is your goal?
My goal is to, right now, to obtain, well, personal life goal
No,
or?
no. The park, how much?
The goal for the park is to have a cement poured skate park that is in good long-term standing, so it won't fall apart. Because right now, the skate park that is at Optimus Park is falling apart. There are tricks that happen on some of those ramps that I could do with my eyes closed that I do not feel safe doing. And if I don't feel safe doing it, who would want their kids going there learning to do basic tricks?
What is the dollar amount that's needed still?
The exact dollar amount is quarter? $250,000 is what
Okay.
they're about to go.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think Nancy's probably going to tell us a little more, aren't you?
Mayor Rep, City Council, Nancy Windsor. I just wanted to once again take an opportunity to thank these young men who have been doing just such a great job with fundraising. I mean, all year long, just if you've seen them out in front of McMorran, you've seen them selling stuff at the Blue Water Fest. I just want to take an opportunity that they've volunteered their time, and it's all for the love of the skate park. We have a pretty good committee that's kind of been helping out, but they've been doing a great job. I'm going to give everyone a flyer, because as they said, we're in our last 60-day push. We're fortunate enough to get an extension to December 30th, but whatever monies we get by December 30th is what the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation and Tony Hawk will be matching. And we're about 66,000 short right now from that goal. But really, we should utilize every dollar we can, because obviously, the more money we raise, the better skate park, the more awareness, more people are going to travel here, I'm assuming, to come to, try out the Port Huron Skate Park. So I think it's in the best interest of the city and kind of a neat opportunity. There's only 5 places that got this honor, and Port Huron was one of them in the state. So I've been saying no donations too small, no donations too big. I'm going to give each of the council members one of these, but 3 ways to donate. We have a GoFundMe. You can send a check to the city, which is on here. And also, these guys are running a fundraiser at Wings, etc., in which we thank them for doing 10% of your bill that day on the 23rd will go to the skate park. So thank you to everyone that's already supported, but if we can help to pass the word, that would be great.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the city council this evening?
Good evening, City Council and staff members. My name is Sharon Bender. I live on South Boulevard in Port Huron, and I'm here in support of 2 resolutions. Well, I'm here in support of more than 2, but I'd like to address 2 resolutions. Resolution 19-122, which would authorize the city clerk to schedule a special election for the Blue Water Transit System, and I am a writer of the Blue Water Transit System, so I can speak to that, I believe, quite effectively. That system is very much needed in our city. I would encourage you to continue your support for it. I would encourage the public to continue their support for it. Many people would not be able to get to their jobs if there were not the Blue Water Transit System available to them. They wouldn't be able to get to the doctors. Seniors use that system to get to their doctor appointments. People go in our church on Saturday Mass, people come through the bus system to get to Mass. People use that system. I'm sure that you already have the statistics as to the ridership, but I just would encourage you to continue your support for it. With regard to the proposal by Ventura for the accessible additions to Knox Field, I would encourage you to support that as well. The children, I've watched them playing at Knox Field. I've been there to ball games, etc. And the children enjoy that park very much. Thank you very much for what you've been doing. And I'd like to add a special thank you to the staff of our city. This is Thanksgiving time. We need to express our thanks to you and to our staff that take care of all of our issues. I know the city clerk gets most of the brunt. The water office, the people on the first floor get the most. But to everyone, all the people, Mr. Laratond in the tax division, Mr. Brennan in the finance division, all those behind-the-scenes people who make our city work. To the people, especially tonight, who are out there salting our streets, protecting our citizens, whether it's fire or whether it's police. Thank you all very much, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you, Sharon. Same to you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the City Council this evening? Please come forward and give us your name, and you have 4 minutes. Seeing no one else, I'll declare public comment closed, and we will move on with the agenda. Resolution number 1, please.
Authorizing 12 payments.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support. Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Ashford. Is there any discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. We will move on to item number 2.
Authorizing the city clerk to schedule a special election for May 5th, 2020, to place on the ballot for voter approval up to 0.6173 mils for each of 4 taxable years to expire in 2024 as a local share for continued operation of the Blue Water Area Transportation Commission Transit System from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2024.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Support.
Boy, we got it from all over the place, but I'm going to take Councilmember Pemberton. And is there any discussion?
Yes, Mayor Rep, I would like to ask my fellow council members to support this as the Blue Water Transit, the partnership throughout our county here, and we just deliver such a good service. Our ridership is up, and I'd like to recognize Lee Peary that's in our audience today, a marketing director of Blue Water Transit. And this millage that we're asking for is not any added money. It's the same. This is something that we have to do each year. So, I mean, when we do this. So it's not taking away or putting anything. It remains the same. So it's no increase.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address resolution number 2? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, we will move to item 3, please.
Approving the proposal with Panchera LLC in the amount of $41,951.50 for the purchase and installation of new ADA accessible playground equipment for Knoxfield Park.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Pemberton, is there a second?
Or?
Councilmember Beeden. I wonder, James, if you could please give us a background on how this was chosen and what the whole process
Yeah,
is
and
and what we have
I'll ask
available.
Nancy to step up as well to the podium. We had numerous community forums in town halls in the South Park area, meeting with family members and kids and community residents, and we gave them a whole host of options. We had a couple ballots, which votes were cast. Nancy was able to find an innovative way to get this play structure in a very cost-effective manner. Knoxfield has a basketball court, a play structure, 2 baseball fields, a splash pad, and pavilion, as it is now. The area that this will be going into is completely fenced, so adjacent to 24th Street in Cleveland is all fenced in, so that kids can't run into the streets or anything like that. And we're hoping that the clustering of assets here will continue to make this a destination park. As we know, we have hundreds of people out there on any given night in the summer and fall time for softball, and their kids like to go play on the playground sets as their parents play softball at some of the adult leagues. So Nancy, if you want to add a little bit more on how we got here as well.
Mayor and City Council. Just a little bit of background, I'll start. Obviously, our goal at the rec department is to put the equipment where it is most needed, used. And how this began was, we actually had a forum, I don't even remember, a couple of years ago, where we said, what would everyone like to see? We did one for Lincoln Park, we did one for Knox. They said a splash pad, so that was our first kind of marching orders, and that was our first thing we did. We talked to them about placement, and the reason it was placed where it was due to the fact that a lot of them in the room at the time had mentioned they wanted to be on the 24th Street just because of traffic. You know, people seeing it, whereas in the back it was tucked away. That was just the people at that particular forum. Then we had another forum, I believe it was like a year ago, where we gave 3, talked about the plans, gave 3 different types of plans that we gave one with a walking track, one with playground equipment, and one with a gazebo. And our next marching orders was, shade for the splash pad. So we got a donation from the Stebbins family to do the gazebo. And then our next marching orders was between the fitness walk area and a playground. If council and the public doesn't feel like this is the best use, that was at that particular meeting. We do keep a list. So how this piece of equipment was given to us was the park at Optimist was the wrong color. And me being a little aggressive, I was like, well, we have 2 choices. We can either send this back, cost you a lot of money, or could you donate another playscape for another park? So being that we had made that promise at that meeting to look for playground equipment, they also, big thing was chessboards, which we had already ordered, like chess tables was another thing that the public at that meeting talked about. So we do have those already ordered. But again, if this is, we do have a list. We have a playground. Ben Pyack is our certified playground person. And you got to remember, their playgrounds are pretty much from the late '80s. So imagine how many of them are really in good shape today. We've only replaced 2, which is Optimist Park and Audrey's Pack Park. So I keep a list of the replacement order. So if council tonight does not feel like this particular placement of this equipment is appropriate at Knox, I'm totally okay with that. My only caveat would be that we have to place this free playscape by the end of November, or we just forfeit like a $40,000 piece of equipment. So I guess that would need to be the decision tonight. Do we go to the next park on the list, which happens to be Gratiot Park, because their playground is in disarray? So that would be something I'll leave to you. That's the background of it. And again, we're just here to try to update our parks and make the playground equipment safe and more fun and more innovative. There's so many new things out there since the late 80s. So whatever, I'm just here to do what we need to do for the parks.
Nancy, to be clear, we did upgrade not only the comped package, but we also upgraded with the zip line as well and added to.
Yeah, yep.
So it's not just the free stuff.
And what we did do is so either way, we did also get another $25,000 from the Legacy Funds, Ralph C. Wilson Fund, and the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan. So that money would be used to install this piece, because it's kind of weird, but the playground equipment installation is pretty close to what it costs to buy the piece. So you have to kind of look for that too, so.
Madam Mayor and Council, one of the additional things is Knoxfield is one of the few chartered parks, meaning we have 22 to 23 city parks, but only 4 are actually protected in the charter as official city parks. Knox is one of them. With this clustering, which we've been doing for the last couple of years, we were strategic and we invested significantly in fencing as well. I believe first a year ago, and then we added more to it 2 years ago, then we added more to it last year. So the whole area is surrounded in fencing. We also enhanced out of our street funds some pavement markings and pedestrian crosswalks at 24th Street, because there's a significant residential development there with high density of children that cross over to that park. So we invested in the crosswalk as well. There was mention of the party store. They are going to rebuild that party store, do more of a combination of a convenient mart with a grocery store, a small grocery footprint, and yes, they will have some fuel pumps there. But very similar to Palmer and Lakeside, which are also adjacent to party stores as well.
Is there questions from council?
Mayor Rapp?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
This is probably for Nancy. Nancy, is this the only location at Knoxfield that this could go? And then following that, you do these all the time, so I'm assuming you've had experts in or someone to make sure that we're maintaining the safety of the location and the children, and that it meets everything.
I mean, as far as the new spot, you mean?
Yeah.
Or?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, we have we have the fencing around it. I mean, that's pretty much, we'll have the safety surfacing underneath. I don't know that there's any specific standards, unless James is aware of any standards that are available. I'm not. That talk about like how far from different things. I'm not aware of that.
No, I believe when we put the fencing in, the notion was we wanted the kids to be able to run, but we didn't want kids to be able to run out into traffic. A lot of our parks are on very busy roads. Gratiot's a very busy road. We have a lot of kids who cross over that to head to Palmer at our community center there. The other issue is a lot of residents liked having it in a high visibility area. That was something that kept coming up, so they know that they could see it, people could watch it, and so that was another thing that did come up during the community comments.
And again, if this is not, or you want to pause on this particular location, I would just strongly encourage that we choose a location tonight, or we will lose out on a pretty significant piece somewhere in our city. That's the only thing I will say. I mean, I'm okay with whatever the council believes is the best for the kids and the best for the community. If that's not the best spot, this is just what my marching orders were given. This is what I was told, but I just do not want to lose this piece somewhere in the city. So if we have to pause on this particular location, I totally understand, but I think for the good of our kids and the good of other money, we should choose one of the other parks that are on our list after our certified person went through, and like they kind of rate which ones are in worse order. So that would be my
Mayor, can I follow up on that?
Sure, go ahead.
So if we didn't do this at Knoxfield,
Yep.
what's the replacement at Knoxfield? What would we do? Or we would just leave
say
it
that- I'm
empty?
sorry.
If we don't put it at Knoxfield,
Right.
and we put it somewhere else, what would be the alternative at Knoxfield?
Well, so far, we've purchased the chessboards that we were asked to purchase. We still have 25,000 that would have to be spent at Knox on something, so I guess we could
And would
talk
it be
to
in
the
that
community
area?
again. Huh?
Would it be in that area?
It would. I
Still in
mean,
that
It has to be at Knox.
vicinity?
That's the biggest thing. And wherever, it would have to just be at Knoxfield.
Thank you.
Is there any,
Mayor Rep?
yes, go ahead,
You know,
Councilmember
getting
Harris.
back to our guest here, Mr. Crittenden, tonight, and looking at what he said, you know, I understand what we're doing, and I said in a couple of community meetings and stuff down there, but, you know, some of the things that I kind of envisioned and stuff have kind of changed a little bit with the announcement of the gas station and stuff there. But the other thing that kind of strayed from, I think, from our principal goal was the pavilion is kind of now a long ways away from the water area, which basically was kind of going to be a shelter for the kids that were using the water thing and stuff, and it's quite a distance away.
Can I comment on that?
Well, let me
yeah.
finish first.
Yeah.
But what I've seen, what it's degenerated to, I know last summer and the fall went down there, it's the pavilion's become a drinking area for our adult friends in South Park there and stuff. And I think if we put it next to the gas stations and stuff, we're only inviting that type of thing to occur and stuff. You know, and I don't begrudge anybody that takes and has a beer at a park and stuff like that. But when you get to the point where we're distracting ourselves from what our original goal was, then we have to think about doing something else, so. Go ahead.
Councilman Harris, the reason we put it so far down is because our original plan was to put the playscape in the middle of the two. And my thinking, or well, from our plan that we showed at the meeting, was if you're sitting at the gazebo and having a picnic, you want to be able to see the kids, right? So that was the original thinking on putting the gazebo on the one end. That's why the middle's still available. So we talked about play equipment there, so.
I wish this could have been in the comment at the planning commission meeting on the gas station and stuff, because I think they were kind of giving a carte blanche check on their station and stuff. You know, I mean, it's going to be large.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to change the demographics down there. So it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough questions.
Madam Mayor, the Planning Commission cannot legally take into account the uses of Knox Field on a properly zoned site plan. Meaning, if we were to deny that application when they're properly zoned, they have legal rights to use their property as it's zoned. And so I don't want there to think the Planning Commission should have, you know, taken into account Knox Field on what they were approving for that corner, because they have legal rights under the zoning to develop that property as long as it confirms to the zoning, which it did properly. So had we denied their permit because we didn't like it or we didn't want that next to the park, there could be some legal repercussions for that.
Mayor Rep,
Yes, Councilmember Ashford.
if I could, help from the Lord, let me try to put this in perspective. I don't think the South End, we don't have anything against a playscape or anything being out there, but each one of you could go take a drive by, and we're talking about between Dove Road and Cleveland. And you bunched all this stuff, whether you call it cluster or whatever you call it, in a high-profile street, 24th Street, and a little fence. Anybody could go through that fence. And then you got east of that, you got factory. North, you got factories. It's not a neighborhood, factory, zone industrial. And over to the west side, okay, it's Knoxville. They're playing ball, baseball, and you got all this cluster stuff over there. And you're gonna tell me about safety. You know what, I'd rather lose a grant than to lose a child. So what we're saying, the environment has everything to do with this. I have never seen such a crazy kind of development or vision for kids in a neighborhood. They're not even in their neighborhood. The Port Huron housing is way over there, and then you have Golden Crest over here. And we don't even have that much activity as far as the kids coming out there, you know, to use all this. And yet you're gonna you got a little splash pad here on this little corner, and then you got the gazebo, as the gentleman so stated, little steps over here, and we know what goes on in South Park. and then you got a gas station that just draws people loitering there anyway, and it's not that you can, you know, cage the kids in. It is just not doable. It doesn't even make sense. Why would we do that? And if our parks are so outdated, we have a playscape over at Knoxville. Why can't you demolish that and build this new one over there? What's wrong with that? At least when they did build Knoxville, they had enough sense to know they didn't want anything over towards 24th Street. They stayed away from that. Even the first playground, Miss Evans, she said, we don't want our kids over there next to that. Now that was, I don't know how many years ago. And here, we come up here, 2019, in the city, what, you know, you're not giving us or giving the South End anything. You know, that looks like crumbs to me. Let's give them this to say we're doing something. Well, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything but making a mess, you know. So anybody, I tell you, I challenge you. You go out there. Would you have your daughter out there on a main drive?
When she's big enough, I probably would.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope she don't get hurt. But anyway, so what I'm saying is that you don't. You know, we have the power. I should say. I don't like to use that word, to make intelligent decisions, and not based on, you know, money and all this kind of stuff. You have the skate park people being up here, you know, you give the money to them, you know, whatever. It doesn't even matter, but to just put something like this together, and even the way we got there, I was at both of those community meetings, and to let you hear it from us, it's like a whole room full of people. It's about maybe 7 adults, and she will attest to that, 7 adults, and we had about 15 kids that were voting on something, and they couldn't even vote because they were from the ages of 5 to maybe 15. That's true. So it's not, see, what you do wrong is that we talk about inclusion and diversity, and you want to include people, and then you want to drop names like the NACP. That's not even in our mission plan. We don't do anything with that, you know. They can't speak for all of South Park. And when I'm talking like this, I'm talking about the whole city. This is our city of Port Huron. And if I have to reflect something like this, agreeing to something like what we want to do out there in that skate park, put that on a main drag, you know, for my city, I'm going to bring people in my city, and they ask me, well, what are you guys doing? And Reverend Crittenden was right. They are in an uproar. They are in a holy uproar. What are we doing? How could we put something, a splash pad? And then they even had the nerve to ask us, they wanted to build a walk path around the splash pad. We had to try to knock that down, and we knocked that down. They would have been dizzy just walking around there one time. If you want to build a walk path, you build around all of Knoxville. You think I'm going to go around the splash pad and fall out? You know, it's crazy. So, I won't really be supporting this tonight in this contents, because not unless you go back to the table and tell me that, you know, you can demolish that other one down and then build them a new one that is safe and ADA accessible. You know, that's what you need to do. You need to do things that need upgraded out there. You know, it's not always the answer to let's throw something up new, let's just throw it up. Look at what you got. The place is falling apart. You got bleachers out there, okay? They don't look as good as they got up here at Pine Grove Park. We did all that stuff there. Now, why can't we enhance Knoxville? Why do we have to pinch off something at the bottom of a pyramid? We shouldn't have to do that. Nobody should have to do that. And I think that end of town deserves more than that. I really do. And I think as a council, you could throw these sorts of grants and all this other kind of stuff and say that you met with that. You didn't meet with anybody. I mean, you met with somebody. I was there. I even facilitated the meeting for you. I facilitated one of those meetings, and none of them were to the tune that this is what we need or what we want out there for the sake of our children. And I am worried about their safety, You know, it doesn't have to come from the street. It could come from somebody driving up there to get gas. You don't know. None of us know. But I'm not going to be a party to setting up something that's going to just damage us, you know, for the future, not at the sake of kids. Thank you very much.
Let me get any other further comments from, you can address it at the, is there anybody else on council who wishes to comment on this subject before I?
Mayor Epp, just kind of like taking this all in from the start of going down to some of those meetings, which was kind of a nice initiative a couple of years ago. And then when you step back, I thought it was developed that we were kind of told that the feedback and the plan was a multiple thing, and then to have Nancy, go after and try to get some grants and stuff, and now to see maybe it is something to do with the recent gas station expansion or thing, but also maybe it's time to re-engage that whole area, the whole group, and see if maybe they're like Councilmember Ashford might at least maybe they're. It sounds like they want to kind of change the overall picture of what they want to see at Knoxfield, if that's where they want to focus on. Because I was in attendance in a couple of those meetings, the community meetings, just to hear, and I thought, man, that's a good start of a community involvement. And then now you come to this, I'm thinking it's it's an interesting spot. But the key is, if there's feedback from something that popped up, this looks like it's just recently in November, is it, or just the first part of November that we were looking at this, or when did this kind of come up, and what time frame or feedback did the community have that were directly involved in that? Do you have any idea if there was?
We've been working on this strategy for several years.
Yeah. So, I'm assuming that the representative here today with Mr. Crittenden's comments, but also if we've had other, Councilmember Ashford, but even us here, it sounds like they're potentially wanting some other adjustment in that plan. I don't know. Just I'm throwing this out there for what I kind of gathered on this approach, because that's where that splash pad was put, and that's where that pavilion was put, and now this is the next thing. So just some feedback.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Did you have a response?
Yeah, so ultimately this is a council decision, and we take our direction from the mayor and council. And so a couple things I need some clarity on is tearing down the old set to place the new structure. Is that an acceptable, is that something that?
Yes, it is.
So we could easily make the motion tonight to tear down and remove the old set.
Comment on that.
Although, again, as you said, it's up to the council, and I do not want to put any play equipment in somewhere that people do not feel totally comfortable with. That's not my intent. I was just given my marching orders, what I was told, and that's what I've been carrying out. It would not be my recommendation to tear down that piece, but if that's what the council wants me to do, I will. But I will say, because it's not, we have other structures in the city that are in worse shape. So, but if that's what you want, that particular structure is like pretty low on the list as far as safety goes. So the first top three that are in the worst shape in the city right now is Gratiot Park, Lincoln Park, and Pine Grove Park. Those are the top. And Ben Pyack is a certified playground inspector. So he inspects them in the spring and rates them. I'm just telling you, if that's what the vision is, obviously, I just don't want the kids to miss out on a play structure in our city. I would not necessarily recommend that because it is a decent structure, but if that's the intention, if you want to pause with this and you want to say, we'll take this free one for another park right now, instead of, and then I can get more information on the old one, let's say, but I can tell you right now, it's very low on the list of safety. So if you said, here's 40,000, which one are you gonna, I would go to this list. The only reason I went to Knox Park was I thought that was the intention of the council. As I've been showing the plans for the last 2 years, we okayed the pad, we okayed this, and we had the plan up there, but I'm totally do not want to put a contentious item that's supposed to be a happy thing, I guess is what I'm saying. It's supposed to be a good thing, so if it's not a good thing, let's pause and decide what the best thing is. I would not take down the existing structure if it was me.
To add to,
Can I just ask her a question? On the, you said you had $25,000 that have been donated that still gets to be spent
Yes.
in Knoxville.
Correct.
Has to be because the donors asked for it to be there, correct?
Yep.
So you either tell the donors, we're not interested in any more money for Knoxfield, or you spend the $25,000 there, which means you could use that $25,000 toward that other playground in the spring, say. Could you do
Correct.
that?
Yes.
In the existing structure that's on the back side?
Yeah, and we could come back to council with another
Come
plan
back to council
for
with
the
another plan
25,
and try to do that and work
or
that one
whatever,
out there.
you know, whatever we think is
Because
the best.
I would suggest, I guess myself, if it seems to be that that's not where it should be, and I was at those meetings, and I would concur that you certainly weren't given any other direction, and I applaud you on everything that you've done and the efforts you've made, because it was, you know, that night, it was to continue working at doing things in that corner. So if it's not, if that's not the case, then I would suggest we go to the next park on the list, because we want to do safety for sure. And Gratiot Park is one that's, you know,
It's used
used,
a lot.
highly used. If I would say it's probably even more used, isn't it?
Yeah, and I will say that the number 2 park, which is Lincoln, we have some plans and donors
Yeah.
on that I've already been talking to, so that would be, and that's a bigger piece, so if you replace that particular piece with this, it'd
Yeah.
be a significant difference, and I really don't want to do that there.
Because then you ultimately, obviously, still get kind of, it's like a win-win on that part of it, because if you take this playscape and tear down the other one and put that in, then you're not going to get your value there, and you need the,
And-
you
and
can still spend
contrary-
$25,000.
Yeah, contrary to what people believe, like, because people ask me all the time, can you move equipment from one spot to the
I
other?
know it's not.
And you really can't. It's just, it's designed for that area. It's more of a safety risk to move equipment, so we would not take that,
Well,
you
that
know,
would
and
be-
move it to another park. So just,
That would be my suggestion, that someone on council makes the motion to amend the resolution to have it put at Gratiot Park instead of Knoxfield, and that we continue to look at what there is to do down there, make a plan, and perhaps we can get more participation from the people that live in the area to, you know, really come forward and say what it is that they want to have. And certainly, I know that your effort has always been to provide the
yeah,
best.
and I mean, that's really all I've been trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I apologize if but I know we've had, you know. we put-
I was at
you know,
those
I
meetings too,
apologize
and there
if
was not a lot
there
of
was a
attendance. And there was a lot of
misunderstanding,
children there, but not a
Yeah.
lot of adults, so.
I know the only intention of the Parks and Rec Department is to provide
Right.
safe and innovative recreation for kids. So if it's not a positive thing, then
Then it shouldn't
I
be.
think then we, you know.
Yeah,
Mayor Rapp,
yes.
can I ask a couple of quick questions to follow up on all of that? How much use is the splash pad getting?
You know, it seems like on the really hot days, it's busy. I mean, Councilman Ashford did make a good point as far as the shade area, which was why, you know, we kind of put the gazebo, and I know it's a little farther from there, but we also have another shade that we're kind of thinking about putting a little closer to there. The original thinking of putting the gazebo that far, again, was just the vision of, like, you know, if you have your kids and they're in a fenced-in area, you want to have a vision to see them. And so if you had it on either ends of that gazebo, now it's a little bit more difficult to keep track of kids. So
at this
I
point,
don't know the exact numbers, and I apologize for that, but
I'm more going for, is the neighborhood concerned, and are they not taking their kids to the splash pad because of its location? But if they're utilizing it, then that
I
lessens
see people there on
that
really
concern.
hot days, but I do think we had some issues with shade.
Right,
I'm
yeah.
hearing that a lot.
But not the location
But
itself
not-
of where it is.
I've not heard anything on location, not that that's not the case, but
Right.
just that I have not personally.
And if this doesn't go in, what would be the plan between the splash pad then and the gazebo? It would just,
I would be back to square one, because that was just
Yeah.
what our plan was, but not to say we can't change it, but I don't.
but if we're not going to put this here for safety reasons,
Yep.
why would we put anything there?
I don't know.
Can the gazebo be moved?
I
just
don't know the
curious.
answer to that as well.
Well, I mean, these are all things that we could explore. We don't want to lose the fact that we have a playground, so I would suggest we move forward with going the next list, person on the list, and then we continue to explore. That's,
I think you bring up a good point. There needs to be a broader, Nancy and I, we get our direction from all of you, and there needs a broader discussion about the investment strategy at Knox Field. If this is not an ideal location for any future investment, meaning the mayor and council do not, or for safety, where the community doesn't want investment here, that's fine. We can look for alternative investments. If that means acquiring additional land to build a park, then we should do that. But my concern is twofold. Is one, I'm concerned about we're going to have to go to a community that was at these town halls and say, we're not going to invest in this area of the park, or we're not going to invest in this park anymore. Then there needs to, if that's the desire, the direction that we get, that's fine. We just don't want to keep bringing proposals back that say, if it's at Knox Field, we don't want it there. So if we want to move it to a different location, someplace, then we could look at maybe acquiring some parkland, and we're all open to that, but we're just going to, I know Nancy and I are going to be, we make sure.
Because the confusion.
We're just trying to follow direction.
The confusion is, again, how this works is, if you win the lottery tomorrow and you come up to me and you say, I love X park, I've got little nuggets in my head of knowing what things we've been waiting to hopefully do there. And when we had those Knox Parks meetings, and when we voted on the splash pad being there, because that's what I was told, and then we had plans for there, that's what went through my mind, that was what I thought my orders were. But again, we are here to just make the best, that's the only way these donations work. I'm just being perfectly honest. So, anyway.
I don't know if I cut you off or not, Sherry, did I?
No.
I didn't mean to, if I did.
Mayor, just one more comment. I just want to, again, Nancy done an outstanding job also getting with this funding again, like you mentioned, the Optimus Park, them allowing almost for a whole nother one for the credit there. You're talking about almost $70,000 piece here that he looked to try to place it and benefit. And again, my question really was how much feedback, or how did we get feedback to get to today? Was there an awful lot since this went out there that has caused this, or just coming today? I just didn't know if there's any other feedback that we received.
Personally, but.
Yeah, because I didn't receive any on my thing. I didn't know. I just was wondering where it kind of came from.
Oh,
Okay.
well, we've been in conversation. Mira, may I? Nancy, I do like to commend you. I wasn't, coming down on you, but business is business, and integrity and things such as that, and the truth is the light. And it just seemed like when we're in leadership roles that we need to see that, what you would want from one end, you would want to do your best at that end. Sometimes when people have input and they're telling you something, it's up to us to analyze what they're saying and how we as a city deliver. Just because I'm thinking, okay, I want a dog run out there because I said that, you gonna go put it out there or something? But you did. I've been out there doing the meetings, and when we kicked in and we helped you out. So it's not personal. And as much as it is, we need to just do the right thing. That's all I'm trying to communicate.
That's all I want to do too.
And people just get disjointed up here like we got to have something this way, that way, and we're not losing anything. Whenever we're talking about the safety of the kids and the dignity of that side, that's been forgotten for a long time, and they need to come up to, equitable. It needs to be equal to some degree. And I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about all people, okay? So just don't look at me, because the demographics of the South End has changed tremendously. So I'm not up here, holding my fists up like it's all about, people of color. But it is about people in general, and leadership, and not putting kids in harm's way when we know we can do better.
Yes. And Councilman Ashford, I take my leadership role very serious. I believe that I have a lot of integrity.
Yep.
And I believe that I do a lot for the kids in the community, because that's where my heart is.
You do.
So,
yep. That's why I wanted you to leave out of here thinking that I was getting it. So
Yep.
just keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep standing up for the people that elected me.
Member Pemberton, did you have something?
Yeah, I was actually at both of those meetings, one prior to being a councilman and one after. I think my concern is, and I'm okay if we're going to amend it and go with Gratiot Park, I'll roll with it. I think my concern is what we're doing tonight is no different than what we did that night. We have two comments, one from Councilwoman Ashford and one from Pastor Crittenden that says this is a bad location. And we're saying that the reason that we're deciding it's a bad location, and I'm not disagreeing that it is or isn't, what I'm saying though is that the feedback given is there weren't enough people at that meeting to decide.
Safety.
And so that we took the direction from a small gathering of people. Well, we're doing the same thing tonight. And now, we may agree with the opinions tonight and say, oh, you know what, that's a better point, and we like it, but we're still in the same boat. And at the end of the day, as Mr. Freed mentioned, we have constituents that we have to respond to that said, hey, we came together, you had a public forum where you said my voice could be heard, we made our voice heard, we did a collective workshop, and you did a great job trying to figure out what are my marching orders going to be, and we made a plan, and now we're going to change that plan. Let's face it, if we try as the city to put together another forum and try to come up with a new plan for Knox Field, we're going to get about the same level of participation because that's civic participation. It's low. That's just the nature of our society. So what I guess I'm asking, and I think maybe I'm asking you, Pastor Crittenden, you were here for the landing, you said, and so I'm going to ask that if we're going to regroup and try to take off again, I want your help. Oh, I don't know.
We'll accept it, yes, because
Yeah.
we are having this. We don't normally do that, but he asked you a question,
I did,
and
yes, sir.
I will allow you to answer him.
Yes.
Thank you very much. My concern, and again, I apologize to the council when I first got here. That's a saying I heard some time ago. I wasn't there for the takeoff, and now I show up for the landing. I apologize for that. I tried to take a step back and let other people come in and be active, because I just turned 71, and I'm tired. To find out that on this, I do want to be involved. My concern is the location of the gas station, and I think after a while, it's going to become congested. It's going to be a safety hazard. I would end by saying either invest in Gratiot Park, and by the way, you've done a fantastic job, a fantastic job. Yeah. I would say either invest in Gratiot Park or take the existing area at Knoxville where you have the play area. Something could be done to improve that area so the south side won't lose all the funds together. I believe it would be a very easy solution to look at that area and improve the equipment that's there or add to it. Or I know Gratiot Park is used a lot, if that's the decision. Personally, I would be satisfied with either of those, Gratiot Park or improve what's already at Knoxville, which is away from 24th Street. Some folks say, well, it's visible. Well, it's visible. That park is used. That park area off from between 26, I guess the other 26,
And
that park is used a lot. So either improve that or go to Gratiot Park. And again, I apologize. I've been trying to back off, and now I show up, and, well, I'm here.
Yes, no, and to be clear, no need for the apology. What I would love is you do have a lot of influence. You have the ability to communicate better than I can to a larger amount of people, especially around that park area. And so if there's anything we can do to help get the message out, I think I'd love more support. Anyone that wants to help get that message out to say, hey, we need to plan. We need to make a new plan to do this. I'd love to give Nancy even more support, if at all possible, because I know she's, as everyone said, you're doing your best to try to figure out what is the community right there that lives there. I live over by Gratiot Park. I can give feedback about that park. I can't give a lot of feedback about Knoxfield because I don't live right there. And you've done a great job trying to figure out what does the community need and what do they want.
Well, sitting there, I have one more idea.
Okay.
We could accept the equipment, that we could buy it, so that I could actually purchase it.
Right.
I'm just throwing this out, here's a thought. and then that would give us a little more time to decide the where. If that's what, I don't want to throw a rink, I just was thinking of sitting there. It's
So
just
you're
another
meaning
thought.
just approve
But I
the
need an approval
proposal?
to buy it. I mean, I'm going to ask James, but.
It just wouldn't designate as to
But it would be
where.
another way to give yourselves a couple moments of pause to decide what was best.
So is that all you have to do is actually purchase it?
Yes, we have to purchase it by November 30th to get it. We have to
Okay.
take delivery by December 30th, but to keep it at the warehouse till the spring when they install it. So.
Well, then
that-
maybe that's the best thing.
That's another avenue, so this way you get the feedback that you need to get, and so we don't lose the piece.
One of the things I want to caution as well is this discussion of safety. I firmly believe that Knox Field is safe. Now, whether we have a discussion on where it's placed or whatnot, we invested a significant amount of money in fencing. 24th Street has lower traffic count than 10th Avenue does, where we just dumped a significant amount of money into Optimus Park. And so, whatever standard we use, I just want to caution that there are other like parks around the city that have more traffic volume, are closer to a party store. So the umbrella of Knoxfield isn't safe. I do believe Knoxfield is a very safe park. 24th Street, we have not had many issues of people crossing there with the enhanced crosswalk. We have a significant amount of more pedestrian traffic over 10th Ave, which is about, I would say, 40 to 50% more traffic volume than 24th Street. So I look at a broader whole of what similarities we have for parks, and if something's unsafe at this park because it's near a busy road or it's near a party store, well, we have 4 other parks that are in the exact same scenario. And so as we move forward, we need to look at what parks have similarities and what we define as not safe, or maybe there's perceptions and things that can be altered. And I'm willing to have that conversation. But I just want to be, I think Optimus Park is a very safe park. I think Palmer Park is a very safe park. Palmer Park has no fence around it. Does Optimus have a fence on the 10th Street side?
Not on 10th Street?
And that has probably, I would say, easily twice, maybe 3 times the traffic volume as 24th Street on that section. So I just worry about the broader idea that we're labeling parks not safe when they are.
Well, I think we've had a lot of discussions, so I guess at this point, if we are just going to approve the purchase, if that's the intent, then we need to have an amendment to the resolution to take out the Knoxfield. So if somebody wants to do that and make the amendment to the resolution to just approve the purchase, take out the paragraph,
So moved to delete the Knoxville and put in what, Gratiot?
just won't have anything
Just won't have anything?
for
Okay.
the moment, and then it will be
All right.
rediscussed.
So moved. So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Is there any second? Okay, is there another motion? That motion fails for lack of a second. Is there a motion to, for any other amendments, or just we want to vote on the motion on the floor? Any other
I'll
amendments?
rescind that, as the maker of the motion.
You don't have to rescind it,
Don't have to, okay.
it just
All
dies
right.
because of lack of a second, unless you want to make a different motion. To amend. If there is none, then we just need to, vote. But if we turn this down and vote no on this, just not telling anybody, the playground's gone. So it's not for anybody. So we either make an amendment or we vote. Yes or no?
Mayor Rep, can I ask a question? Just being a little new to the process here. So if we amend this so that the motion we just made that we didn't second here, if we cross off the choosing the park, what's the next steps essentially? What would we be,
Well,
because we'd have to,
She would.
warehouse is December 30th, you said? And then we keep it till the spring?
We have to order, this is the last meeting to decide.
Correct.
Because we have to order by November 30th. Comes in the end of December, but they hold on to it to us till installation in the spring.
Okay.
So this is just a purchase, right?
This is the purchase.
If we leave it as is, it's a purchase, putting it at Knoxfield, because that's what it says on the resolution. So unless we amend it some way, that's what it says.
Madam Mayor, I just,
Councilmember Warden.
when we're talking about, I'm learning, or getting this here, at least for clarity, is that we have till November 22nd. We have this potential credit. You guys have picked out this specific zip line, playscape things. Are we talking about utilizing just part of this agreement by changing it? Because some of it is the installation, in other words. I'm just wondering, are we changing this just take advantage of that credit that we're getting to say, hey, let's purchase the equipment, store it here, and then figure out what to do? Is that what we're doing, or are we doing all the other things?
Died, right?
What's that?
That motion.
Yeah.
So the motion to take out Knoxfield did not get a second. Yes. So then if you're back, well, so it is as it is now. What is before us is a resolution that approves the proposal as it is in the amount of $41,951.50 for the purchase and installation of new ADA accessible playground equipment for Knoxfield Park, and that's the motion on the floor, unless it's otherwise changed. But I'm just cautioning that if we vote no on this for whatever reason, there will be no playground anywhere.
Okay, so, question, just so.
Correct?
Correct, okay. So, so you got Knoxville, it doesn't necessarily have to go over by 24th Street, right? Is that still open for discussion, future discussion?
Well, I guess, yeah, it would be up to the council whether they want to take down the existing one that is in good shape.
Or can you find somewhere else out there?
I cannot,
You can't-
I
it's
can't
nowhere.
repurpose equipment, especially that one, it's got some
Yeah, oh, yeah,
weirdness
put
to
the
it,
things.
yeah. So you would either need to designate, like I said, Gratiot's the next one on the list.
Gratiot, Mayor, if I may point of order, okay,
Or-
can I?
No, but go ahead.
All right. Well, anyway, I was trying to get your attention when I say that. Well, can we amend it with Gratiot Park, since that's a high profile use?
You can make that motion, and you'll need a second, yes. You
Oh,
can do
okay.
that. Are you making that motion then?
Well, yeah, let's try Gratiot.
Okay, we have a motion for an amendment to, instead of, to execute the agreement to purchase, but it will go in Gratiot Park instead of Knoxfield.
Second?
Seconded by Councilmember Harris. Is there any discussion on that particular motion? Just that part of the resolution, is what we're discussing right now. No questions?
Maybe a clarification
Okay.
question.
It has been a little confusing.
It's gotten a little confusing.
Yes, the clarification.
My clarification question is, if the amended motion fails,
Then you're back to the
we
original.
are back to the original and it's not gone.
Correct,
Thank you.
yes. That is correct. So we have,
Motion and the amendment.
we are only voting on the amendment. Does everybody understand that?
Mayor Rep,
Yes, Councilmember Warden,
the amendment is to change it to Gratiot
yes.
with this exact same cost structure and everything. And is
Correct.
this exact same cost structure going to work for the installation of this stuff over at Gratiot? We just got to figure out where? Okay. I mean, that's just,
Yeah,
okay. Thank you.
okay. What? Go ahead, you had a question.
Do I not recall you saying there was money involved from someone that had to go to Knoxfield, so that money isn't
That's
technically
separate.
there?
That's separate.
It's separate, thank you.
Yeah, that's something completely different, which means you could use that 25,000 toward
not in there.
the other
We're-
structure.
Sorry, Mayor Rep, so we're not using that 25,000 as part of this,
No.
to pay for the install
No.
or anything like that? That's,
No.
okay.
No, that
Okay.
25 would still be there to be spent at Knoxfield.
Okay, yeah, I think
Okay,
I
you
misunderstood that,
understand?
so thank you.
I know it's gotten a little confusing here. So all we are voting on right now is the amendment to change it from Knoxfield to Gratiot Park. So we'll take the vote.
Councilmember Beeden? Yes. Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes?
Councilmember Archibald?
No.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. And we will now vote on the resolution as amended. So it's, now says Gratiot Park. Go ahead.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
No.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Okay, before we move on, I want to thank everybody for their comments. I do wish, because I was at those meetings too, and I certainly, you want to have input. I mean, there's nobody that's sitting up here that's just saying, well, we're just doing this for the sake of doing it, or we just want to throw a crumb out, as was said, because that's not true. And the intent was totally, I know for Nancy and for everybody, was to get the input. And so I welcome, we all welcome, to have a good conversation about what to do and where to go from here. And I hope people participate. So Because it's kind of, when it becomes at the last minute like this, it just gets very confusing, so. But anyways, thank you, and we'll move on to resolution number 4.
Confirming and approving single lot special assessment for special trash pickup in the right-of-way.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Harris. Is there discussion? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes. Resolution number 5.
Approving the memorandum of agreement between the United States Coast Guard and the City of Port Huron Fire Department for establishing the responsibilities of firefighting and basic readiness and preventive measures.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Ashford, and I see that Chief Nicholson's in the audience. Could he perhaps speak to this?
Sure.
Mayor and Council, this is a standard memorandum of agreement between the United States Coast Guard, Station Port Huron, and the City of Port Huron. It basically sets up the responsibilities of both parties, establishes command and control in the event of a firefighting effort at Coast Guard Station, and also establishes reimbursement of expenses. This was brought to me by the station chief and was reviewed by legal counsel to reflect the best interests of the city.
Any questions for the chief? Nope, no questions, thank you. And we will take the vote.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes, that concludes our agenda. Before we do adjourn, could the city manager please give us a little update on our leaf pickup program, which kind of got slaughtered today.
The leaves are under snow, that's your update. They're making their way through the second part of the city today. Bear with them, as now that the leaves are wet, they will freeze tonight, and it's going to be a much more slow and cumbersome process. We actually have been here before, about 4 years ago, I believe, to the date, where the snow came early. And so this just tends to happen. Just again, have them off the side, and they will get to them steady, but surely they will get all of them picked up.
And there is another scheduled pickup.
Correct.
At this point, let alone what might have to happen.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
I don't think we can even burn them at this point. They're so
No,
wet.
no, and I understand it's going to get very cold over the next couple days, so they will freeze, so. Is there anything else to come before the council?
Yeah,
If I could, Mr. Coons made a couple nice comments about our veterans of the United States, and I just think it's, during the due process and stuff, we have to look back at this is Veterans Day and to not forget the ones. Some of them come home, some of them didn't. And I just think that, I just want to say blessings to all the veterans, past and present. Thank you.
I agree. Did you have something, Councilmember Ashford?
Yes, I did. Diving with a Purpose, the one that's contemplating building the monument up there, they asked where do we go for authorization to get the city seal? And so James told me I would have to bring it before the council. They want to start fabricating the monument, and they wanted to know if they could use our seal. So does anybody have a problem with that?
So I checked in it with legal counsel, and we can bring a resolution in December, but our seal is public domain, so they actually can just use it without our permission.
They can
So,
use it
yeah.
without your permission? Okay, I'll let them know that. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Mayor Rapp?
Yes, Councilmember.
Just a couple announcements. This past weekend, there was a very well done, very successful, it was a great turnout for the NAACP annual fund dinner held over at the convention center. You know, it's just great to have the community, you know, still, you know, as we build relationships and for just the continued support. I've been going to that for many years now. It just keeps getting better and better, so compliments to that presentation and how they put it together. Also, again, still, even though it's snow outside, you have last Friday, the city of Port Huron, the Port Huron Big Reds football team, high school football team, making us proud again. They actually have, they won, again, the additional playoff game, which is outstanding. And again, us all here make the whole city proud, and I want to make sure we're aware, even though now that they're, I don't know what it's going to look like for the field, but all the support and congratulations to them. And I'm not familiar, I think they're playing, is it Birmingham or somebody, I can't remember who they're going to be playing out of town, but good luck to the Big Reds. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else to come before council? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.